Hello everyone. I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. The reason I made it, I have seen many technicians and service writers go back and forth about what should be in the technician notes, as far as specifically what information should be in there, how far to go with it, who's going to see it, etc., etc. So decided to make this little instructional video recording on the Protractor side. You can also do this through the AS1 side by going into the footnote. It will transfer over to the work order. A lot of people like to do it on the PC through the Protractor side because you get to use a keyboard instead of typing one finger. Whatever your preference is, doesn't matter how you do it, just that the information gets on there. So what we're trying to do is build value for the clients. We're trying to satisfy our legal requirement with the Bureau of Automotive Repair. And we're trying to create an easy to follow diagnostic story for both the client and also for your service writer to make sure we get accurately ordered parts, nothing's missed in translation between tech to service writer to client. So we'll start out with a brake system inspection. I think is an easy one. So what we're trying to do is marry the AS1 to the Protractor. We're not trying to take away from the AS1. We're trying to add to it by partnering it together with the Protractor, because we do send both of these out to the clients. We send the AS1 out separately from the Protractor. The Protractor will have the pricing estimate, but it'll also have your tech notes, and then that way we've kind of paired the two. You get the full story that way. As a client who doesn't know necessarily a lot about a vehicle, it's easy to see, right? It's spelled out for them, so they can see the job. They know they brought it in for a friction inspection, and then the technician notes. To legally satisfy, we do attach the AS1 to the Protractor when we invoice them out. So the specifics as far as the exact measurements of the rotors and the pads and the machine tool limits and all that stuff is on the AS1 side. So you don't need to stop doing that. This is, again, adding value to it. So you can say, see attached inspection for measurements. That satisfies our legal requirement. And then give me a summation. The front pads are metal to metal, damaged rotors. The rear pads are near the wear limit. Rotors are okay to resurface. The recommendation then comes: recommend replace front and rear pads, front rotors, resurface, perform brake fluid inspection. And anytime you're doing a diag, we end the technician note with and retest. So if it's a noise diag, a check engine light diag, whatever it is, we're going to retest the system once we perform the repairs. That's key to get it in there. Now you're asking, as a technician, do I need to punctuate, capitalize, use commas in the right place? Sure, go for it. No service advisor is going to argue the point that you're spelling it out in a very eloquently worded technician note. But you don't need to. If you can give us the meat, all of the service writers are going to review it. They're going to put in their wording. They're going to fix any spelling errors. They're going to capitalize where they need to or punctuate where they need to. If you guys get the meat and potatoes in there, they'll pour the gravy on top as a service writer. So again, we're helping each other out. The counter's helping out the shop. We're getting the job done. We have satisfied clients. We have more profit. Everybody's happy. So that's on the brake inspection. On the starting charging system test, again, seeing a lot of repeat questions or omission of information that should be there. Remember, on this one, it's the big three. It's the battery, it's the alternator, it's a starter. We need to get notes on there about all three of them. If you're putting specs in, specifications, I shouldn't abbreviate. If you're putting in specs, you need to put in what they're at, what you measured, and what they should be. So in other words, you're going to put each step down that you've done. We're building value in the diagnostic charge that we're charging the client. The client isn't going, why did I pay $76.36 for a starting charging system test? That seems excessive. What did you do? Well, it's spelled exactly out every step along the way. If you are going to abbreviate, this goes for the service writers to check on the technicians, but as a technician, just so you know, you can abbreviate on a work order. I'm moving the cursor, circling the CCA. The way you can do it legally is spell it out first. So cold cranking amps, in parentheses right next to it is CCA. Now that I've defined it, I can use that abbreviation later on. Again, it's right here, right next to it, stating what the correct spec is, so that on this legal document, which is our work order, which is exactly what it is, once you spell it out and define it, then you can use your abbreviation continuing on this specific work order. If you go to a different work order, any abbreviation's got to be defined on that one separately. We get to the bottom here. Here's our recommendation and retest. Again, we're always doing that retest because we don't know that that's going to fix it, but we're pretty confident that those parts are bad. Here's the specs why they're bad. This is why we want to change it. Moving on, the check engine light one. There's no dumb questions to ask. All questions are good questions because you don't know something. So when guys ask me, what do I need to put in there? Okay, well, let's put what we retrieved the code as. That's not a diagnosis, even though we all know clients think a lot of times that that's the diagnosis. You just plug in the scanner and pull the code. Well, it doesn't fix it for us and it doesn't diagnose the issue. So we do put the code that we retrieved, and then please define the code. Take a picture of it on the AS1 side. My mantra is if we're going to recommend it, we are going to take a picture of it. This would be more on a in progress photo. This is in progress for our diagnosis. If we end up finding a spark plug, when we have the spark plugs out, we're taking a photo of the engine with the plenum off, down a spark plug hole, just to show that, yeah, we really had this apart. You can't take apart your engine and find those spark plugs because they're buried. But here's your car with your plenum off, with the spark plugs out. But as far as the code goes, we're going to take a picture of the scanner. It's got the definition there, and then we'll put that in the notes. And then again, list out every step you perform. Here we got a definition of vacuum switching valve, in parentheses a VSV, and then our recommendation, what to replace, and then retest. I put this next job in because this is the repair for this check engine light diagnosis. The reason I put that in was to show you to please notate the repair. So after the repairs, we recheck the system, found system sealed at this time. That's just giving you you've got the beginning on the reason for the work order. You came in for a check engine light. You've got the middle and the body for the diagnosis. Now we need the end of the story, which is, yep, we fixed it. Everything's fine. On a monitor's job here that I've highlighted, please, please, please put down at the end that you perform the OBD2 test drive procedure. You found that insert whatever monitor you're looking at here. This happens to be an EVAP, but it could be a misfire, it could be an O2 monitor, whatever monitor you're going after that makes sense in this work order. Please put down that you drove it and it passed. On the Guardian inspection, we do a bunch of these and I get a lot of questions and I see a lot of things missing. Every job has a spot for notes. If it doesn't, I'll show you at the end of this how to add the spot for technician notes. But please, please, please put the notes in here. Give us a summary. Heard a noise at the near the drive pulleys. It's past due for a fuel induction service. Now, when you're recommending a fuel induction service, I've asked my guys, please notate which induction service there is, because there's two of them and they vary greatly in cost to the client. So if it's a GDI system, just put down it's a GDI. If it's not, put down that it's the standard one. When you're doing the Guardian, scanning for onboard computer codes, take a picture of the scanner, but then also put no code stored in system or whatever codes are stored there. That's where you'd put that. Alignment check. Again, we don't need the measurements. We've got that on the AS1. You're going to take a picture of that. What we do need to do is notate what the repair is going to be. So front toe measurements are out. Recommend an alignment on the front end. And that helps by notating that it's a front end alignment, not a four wheel, because sometimes we will miss that. Tell us what you want in these technician notes. You're asking the service advisor for the repair that you are wanting. And then don't forget this one, the road test on this is still the Guardian inspection. This one pops up as well. You went on a test drive, found it pulling to the right, see the alignment measurements. This last job I added in is a general service job to show you what to do if your labor operation doesn't have a spot for tech notes. So I apologize on this recording. It won't show what happens when I right click my mouse. But what I would do is if I'm on this road test and I go down to the general service and I go, oh man, I need to put in tech notes. There's no tech note there. I right click my mouse. The fourth item down, it says edit footer. That's what you click. Now that box pops up. I can put in tech notes. I can go down here and I can type away. Hitting enter will pop me out of that dialog box. Hitting control enter will drop me down a line if I needed to do separate lines for some reason. So then enter pops me out of that box. So that's what you do. Right click, edit footer, and I've got a separate video because I can't record two different programs on the auto service one side. It's just on the bottom, kind of the same thing, adding a footer. So thank you for watching. If you have any positive feedback, you can send it to my email, chrisd@kinesilsautoservice.com. If you have any negative feedback, you can send it to my other email, Brian with a YP at kinesilsauto.com. Thank you.